Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is OctoMan, and today I'm going to continue working on the actual, what is it called? Missile command prototype in 3D. In the last two videos, we were setting up the rockets and the falling down rockets, as well as we were introducing the shoot mechanic. But there were some issues which have to be connected or have to be created or, let's say, solved first. So the solving is going to be about, well, when some of these objects are going to get destroyed, like the defender objects are going to be destroyed, then we're going to need to make sure that, well, they are not picked as being, shootable objects, or basically not shootable, but we need to make sure that these whichever is destroyed cannot shoot a bullet, so it's not going to be taken. So I believe we are going to start with that at the very first, and then we're gonna see what's coming next. Also, we were introducing the kind of spherical explosions, which are not really one; they are just balls, just scaling over time by or to get or to reach one specific, let's say, diameter or radius, and then they're gonna get destroyed by themselves after reaching this point. Okay, so let's start to solve whenever something is gone. Well, like we spawn something, then it hits like this this defender object or another one of these that we're gonna get rid of the that they are not being used, let's say, about this. Also, what I wanted to make sure is that whenever they are gone, they are not really get destroyed. We want to make sure, I want to make sure that these are literally just deactivated, so we don't get rid of them from the scene, so we don't get any missing behaviors inside the list and all the other good stuff. So to do so, I believe so, we need to go into the game manager first and see what we activate and deactivate whenever something is gone or not. So, and also on hit, whenever it comes to, let's say, I believe it's going to be directly inside the defender. No, it's not. So whenever some defender or any kind of a building get destroyed, I believe so, it's maybe part of building. And so what we do is we're gonna just destroy the game object on trigger enter, which is actually not what we need. We want to deactivate the object which got hit. So it's better than destroying. And so whenever we start a new round, as an example, we can go back to this to the state of activating them all by just looping through. Meaning that does not only mean that it is going to be only for the defender objects, but also for any kind of building. So whenever we're gonna introduce multiple ones, or let's say we unlock one or the other, then we may or may not be able to get them deactivated. So instead of destroying them, I would just go and let me pretty quickly check sound. Looks good. Instead of doing that, we're gonna deactivate the object which we just hit. So in that case, we can say other.gameObject.setActive to be false. So basically, we get rid of it, but we don't necessarily delete it. What does it mean is inside the game manager's all buildings and all defenders list, the objects are going to stay persistent. They're gonna stay inside them two lists. So there's no missing reference exception, there's no null reference exception happening, and so on and so forth. So all of them are still accessible. But now in the next problem which we need to solve is like whenever we shoot a projectile, which is going to be like picked literally from depending on the distance to the goal wherever we are shooting at, like our what is it called, like a crosshair or something where we are going to shoot to, we want to make sure that they are not being picked as the closest because they are gone, they are not active. So we don't, or we literally skip them. Like if they are inactive, we could not shoot. So we need to pick the next one and see if the distance over there is going to be a bit better. So in the input system, we were just literally having, at the moment, we just have that, and we got the thing we're gonna try to shoot a rocket, so we don't really measure anything. So we're gonna call this inside Game Manager. So in Game Manager, we're gonna try to shoot a rocket, and meanwhile we do so, let me just collapse these and get rid in here. we're gonna do this distance check. So meanwhile we are in this distance check, we're gonna make sure that the object in the list, in all defenders list, is actually an active object. So if this object is active, so how can we do this check? Well, since we deactivated, we can look into the hierarchy like of our scene, and we can see if that is an active in hierarchy. So let's try that. We still need to go and loop through. Otherwise, if it is not available, then we're gonna go out of this complete stuff over here, and we make sure that we are unable to shoot literally on that particular piece. So whenever we are now going through this complete for loop over here, the all defenders part, we want to make sure that we're gonna do this check. So first, we're gonna request just with a normal if statement, if all defenders. And now we're gonna go into the indicator I over here, dot, it is a type game object. We need to go for, oh, it has to be outside. Dot game object dot is active in hierarchy. What is it? Active or active in hierarchy? I would say it is active in hierarchy. So this active in hierarchy is going to just say if it is set to be active or not. And if that is the case, well, actually, if that is not the case, we want to return or want to get out of here, or just continue into the next one, into the next iteration. So if we could just break, then we would break out of the actual for loop completely. But I believe we just go and continue to the next one. Also, at the very end, later on, whenever we have, like, if every 3 are going to be destroyed, we might want to go for and check if there is any of them picked literally, and if smallest distance actually is we are bigger than 0. If that is not the case, if there's no distance or no difference than before, then we're gonna go out and say, hey, we cannot shoot. So don't produce a rocket and do something like that. That's why this function is basically also called we try to shoot a rocket. We don't really know if it is possible. We need to do these checks. So in these if all defenders game object is active in hierarchy, we want to go for negating it. So if it is not active in hierarchy, I'm gonna try and say I continue. So continue is a special parameter which just says, okay, we're gonna stop this iteration at this point, so we hop over to the next one. We don't do all this distance checks and all the other good stuff. So as I collapse this for loop for a second, we're gonna see at the very end we want to instantiate a new rocket and shoot it to the actual target. So the one, let's say, to the temporary defender's target. But we only want to do this if the smallest distance is bigger than 0. Otherwise, we don't need all of this content. So let's try that out. So if smallest distance is actually bigger than 0, so it has been changed to through the for loop itself, only then we want to go for and do the invoking and the reset and the actual creation of a new one. Let's test it out and see if that works. Gonna save buildings. I don't know what it happened. Oh, we just deactivate the buildings whenever they get hit, which is pretty good. So they are staying inside C. We don't get any null references. They just deactivate themselves. So we're gonna check the environment over here and see if that is really the case. Oh, I need to activate the spawner probably, but we'll see. So if one of them rockets, like before, when we don't hit them or by something and so on and so forth, but they are going to hit one of them objects, we're gonna see that the rocket clone now got deactivated instead of the building. So that's why we were checking on the building to deactivate whatever hit us. So instead of doing that, taking not other, but taking ourselves to be deactivated. That's way better and more correct at this point, because we don't need to deactivate the rocket, except we are going to use object pooling, and which just makes more sense to deactivate and reuse rockets on purpose. So if I'm gonna go and shoot one here, we should see this rocket is gone. And now you can see this building too just got hit by the rocket. Usually the rocket should be, gone as well. So we're gonna need to destroy the rocket or again, pull it if we want to. And at the final step, we're gonna probably also let the rocket to have some extension, like an explosion extension method or something similar, just to showcase some explosion, even if it's not necessary at this point, but that is a possibility to do that. So that's what I want to do for as well. So I want to go and not just set the actual building to be destroyed, because on the rocket we don't check against anything like this, I guess. Well, we do have something which we call friendly, but the friendly is not only, at the moment at least, it is only the explosion we were creating. So in here, after deactivating the actual object, so gonna type this one out, deactivate building. Hi, Mehmet. Thanks a lot for tuning in. A chain quest system. I have that already. There should be a quest system series in which you're gonna be able to put chain quests. What is the question about it? Just let me know. Type it into the chat. Maybe I can answer your question literally instantly. So, the other object, whichever it is, in this case it's the rocket, we're gonna say .game object. Well, we wanna destroy it, right? So we, instead of pooling it, we can say destroy other .game object, like so. And here we deactivate the building, and here we destroy the rocket or whatever, or the projectile. Destroy projectile, like so. Don't forget to save. And now we should also be able to not see any continuously seeing or flying objects do us through the actual collision. Let's see if that works. So both has to be gone. The actual building has to go, as well as the rocket has to go. So let's see if that now happens when this one is going to hit the first building. We're gonna see the rocket is now gone and this building is deactivated. So on each new round, you're gonna be able to, we're gonna be able to unlock them all just by looping through the actual game object list or the building list, and deactivate them all, like on level 2, let's say. Like whenever we reset the level, whenever we go into a next level, I would say. So, and this is basically everything we needed over here. So now, whenever we try to shoot somewhere or from somewhere and our object is literally gone, like we don't have any defender object, as this one is now gone, we should not get any issues, let's say, to shoot from it. But now I cannot shoot any rocket anymore, because probably I was trying to get it run, but at the moment, as we can see, I cannot produce new rockets on my own. So, and this is probably because in the actual game manager over here, I do not reset this and I do not reset this. That's what I assume. So that means even if we cannot shoot, we still need to invoke to reset the actual shoot. So I'm gonna put this outside of the smallest distance check over here, because, well, we still need to reset it after a certain amount of time. Or we could also put another delay over here, or another delay time. So we keep this in here, but we're gonna put some other one with just a 0. So it's like an instant call. But also in that case, we don't really need to invoke, right? We don't need to wait for something. So we can just say reset can shoot. And that's it. So invoke is only used for a delayed call, let's say. Like you want to wait until a certain point or a certain time has been reached, and then you go forward. Let's try again. Why do we need to do this? Because the other one was not able to shoot anymore. So let's try out. I wait for the some rockets to appear. Gonna see who's the closest. Gonna do all my stuff over here. I don't know if what a good time is going to be. Oh, there's another issue, as you can tell. I have literally an instant reset right now because I still call this one after, well, like literally instantly. So the invoking method is overdoing it. So, well, it's not a bad thing at all, right? So we cannot directly use can shoot like that. So we still need to go over and use the invoke, I guess. If can shoot. Do we need to do this? That's a good question, actually. Actually, I guess we need to put it still in some kind of a else in an else here. Not quite sure yet. So I believe it's like this. So if the distance is bigger than 0, then we're gonna do shoot delay. If that is not the case, like it stays on 0, then we're gonna instantly go and reset the shoot. So there's only one or the other way. So, but not both at the same time. The small distance check actually is going to be for, again, if there's nothing left, then we can go and instantly reset this. So let's try again. Creating games or prototypes in general is going to be always test things out. Like, try to fiddle out what's going to be good for you, for your game. And yeah, try your best to do so. Okay, so these 3 seconds over here as a delay are going to be a bit too huge. But that looks pretty good so far. So the reset is still working. I'm not quite sure if the shoot delay is going to be too high or too small. I want to wait now for a second and see if I can get any hit on one of the defender objects, like this one here. Now, if I try to hit this area or this one, it doesn't try to take it at this point, as you can see. So that means it cannot use any of these, any of these objects because they're literally gone. So now I can only shoot from these 2 defender objects, and this one is literally ignored since over here in this building list it is deactivated. Just a little reminder, this prototype later on is going to become available on my website. I'm going to put later on when it is literally finished and done and you want to save up time or you just want to purchase this one. I'm going to send the link later on down below in the description so you can grab it on my website later on. So feel free to come back later if you want to. So this is basically what I wanted to fix in this little session for the moment. Maybe I'm gonna get something else I can do for today, but I didn't really have anything in mind. So this is what I wanted to fix absolutely. So I'm gonna save my scene, save everything, so I'm good to go over there. There are a bunch of other mechanics we can go for. Is a scoring system as an example. So we can start to work on this. Because if you want to have like a shop system or something similar involved or in place, you want to get score for each, let's say, shot rocket, like for each kind of enemy. Maybe you're gonna, later on, there are going to be some other things flying around, not just them rockets, but maybe there's coming a UFO and going left to right and let fall down extra rockets or anything else, any other, let's say, threads or something, which are going to be for like it also does it flies over, and when it comes to over a specific or certain building, then it may drop something bad over there as well. Also later on in the part, I might go over and create some, let's say, shield objects, like something which is going to be able to protect certain buildings. Let's say like for example, it can hold back 1 or 2 shots in general. This is probably also something literally upgradable or purchasable for a certain, let's say, in-game currency or something similar. So we're gonna get a shop system in which we can upgrade, let's say, shoot speed, delay, or shoot delay in between shots, and so on and so forth. The first 2 or 3 levels might be the hardest, and then, well, not really. So there is some balancing, of course, needed in the later pass or in the later stage. But in general, I would say we can go for a score system. Once we got score, we can maybe, let's say, we convert score into coins, or we just or score is coin. There are certain possibilities over there, and then we can purchase like upgrades and stuff like that in a shop system, which is going to go and work on its own, but still uses just some numbers to see how much score do you have, what is the current level you are in, or how much coins you got, and so on and so forth. So you can literally continue from this point on and can tell, okay, what do I really wanna do my coins into. So the player has to do decisions, let's say, and he has to continue playing until he reaches a certain point again, or certain score again, or whatever the system can be. So he keeps on playing, right? So he wants to become better. He wants to see what's coming next, what's going to be the next goal, let's say. What's coming when I hit or reach 10 levels? Is there a boss coming or something? You can put in stuff like that at any time. You just need to explain it and say, hey, go and play until level 10, and then you're going to get this and that and this and that, or maybe you get some free updates or free upgrades and so on and so forth. If you don't want to wait, of course, you can put some in-app purchases and so on and so forth. There are a bunch of possibilities to do all of that. Also, you can put in some items. You can put in stuff dropping down, which you have to collect, or something fly from left to right, as I said before over here. But all of that, once again, is coming in and coming out whenever needed. So we got the input system, we got the game manager. Everything literally works so far as, more is not really needed to have a full system running at this point. But I want to go a step further with the score and the shop system over here to do purchases and to upgrade let's say, the game manager, and also give some level caps so you cannot overdo it, you cannot purchase too much over there. So, but let's start with some score. So on the canvas, you always want to make sure we scale the screen size. We got the reference resolution, stuff like that. I may go and pass in some, some text field somewhere to see what kind of score we got. Also, I want to make this one, the mesh render, I just disable the mesh render so it's not in the screen in the view over here. We can later on go, which is not important for the prototyping stage, you can go for a particle effects or put in some grid or some fancy animations in the background, or something which is going to happen in the background, whatever. But we're gonna keep the focus in the front of the game, so you just need to be careful with that, so people or players are not getting too distracted from stuff which is happening in the background. Okay, so I'm gonna put something here, which is going to be good question. How can we do this? Well, basically, the game manager contains some kind of score field already, and we can still access it. So I believe we're going to start in the game manager directly. So we don't need anything of that random building stuff. We don't need to try shooting anymore. We're going to have all the other good stuff, at least for the moment. So the next one is going to be, we need to do something for the score. We have multiple possibilities. We can directly talk to game manager or create a score system, but it doesn't matter. Basically, both is going to work the same way. So we can split it up, but we don't necessarily have to. So if you want to do inline commands or something, you're gonna always do dashes or slashes over here. You can say everything about score is coming over here, right? So you can mark this to whatever you please and like. As long as it's anyhow helpful. So what do we need? We need public accessors to get connection to score. We want to get score and we want to use score. And since the game manager is a static instance of an object or a static instance of a game error, whatever, like a script, we can directly call it from any point in the game. So it doesn't matter. We could even go and introduce some static member here and use this direct a static, number over there. Both works. And we could even go and save this for whatever reason, like when players come back, right? And we can put this into a save file and so on and so forth. But this is something we don't cover at the moment. So we want to add score for certain things. And what I want to do is, it's going to be of type void. So we want to add score, and we can pass in an integer, so we fit the same scenario for this score over here. And we're going to say, let's say amount. So a certain score amount. My parentheses is gone. There we go. So we're going to simply just say score plus equal amount. And that's basically it. We don't know about how much we get for whatever thing. We may also use score, or we wanna maybe I'm gonna put some kind of coins. Oh God, I got coins already. So we can say after a certain round is gone, then we maybe want to convert score to coins. If that is something you want to go for, we don't need to have an integer amount over there. And we can say we every 100 score is going to give us 1 coin. So we can say coins. It can be literally anything, by the way, right? So you have to do all of this mathematic calculation stuff on your own, and the balancing, because later on, we don't know how much we get per destroyed rocket or destroyed something or protected building or survived buildings per round and all the other stuff. So for all of that content, we're gonna get score when the round is over, or in between, like whenever we destroy something on the fly, we're gonna get some score. Maybe there's flying up numbers, yada yada yada. You get the idea. So we're gonna have a convert score to coins. We can use a modulo, for example. So score, we want to get 1 score per. Let me type this out. One coin. 1 coin is equal to 100 score. Maybe, or maybe 50, or maybe 20, something like that. So coins plus equal what? Score modulo 100, does it work? I guess not. I guess this is not working. Because it takes score, but it doesn't see it like as 1 unit, I guess. So I would say it's not modulo, it is score divided by 100. So we take a current score, and this is going to be an integer, so probably it's going to, we maybe need to floor or seal the actual one, so could be right. Could be right. So we take, if we got 1,000 score divided by 100, we would get 10 coins. I don't know. We'll see. This is something we can go and optimize later on as well. So we want to use score, or we don't want to use score. We only want to get score. And maybe for each, we maybe want to use score as well. So like whenever we introduce score over here, and depending on how much we got, we want to reduce score. So, or we just zero this one out at whenever the level is over, we get like 9,999 score. Then we want to go and get 99 coins, but then we erase score whenever we do this conversion, as an example. But what we want to use is coins. Public void coin, use coins, use coins, and probably, so we say the integer amount, and then we say coins minus equal amount, as an example. What we also want to do, of course, is we want to get probably coins as like a pickup, or maybe something like, I'm sorry about this bings over here. I cannot reduce that right now. We might want to get coins as well. So something like add coins. So whenever we want add coins, then we say plus equal amount, of course. So we now have two possibilities, two functions. One is doing something else than the other one. God, this binging is so actually gonna mute it. So we want to use coins. We want to convert score to coins, so we can prepare literally everything for the shop already. So over there we got everything about score. Here we got everything about coins, like so. So how do we get score now? Like, let's assume we don't know when a game is over or when a round is over. That's what we're gonna keep for a bit later, I guess. But whenever we hit a rocket, or whenever a rocket gets destroyed by a friendly something, this is where we can literally do that. We can say before we destroy the game object, the rocket itself, before we destroy it, we want to talk to the game manager and say game manager dot instance dot add score. So now we can define or decide how much do we want to get. So we need to pass in now the argument over here, which is going to be our amount. And this amount can be 30, 50, 25, whatever number fits our needs. I don't know. So let's assume we're gonna pass in a number for 25 over here. When we have the first level to be 10 rockets, once again, balancing is something I don't really cover here. But let's assume you got 10 rockets coming in the first round down, which you have to, protect the city, stuff like that. And you're gonna multiply this by 25 or whatever the coin amount is. Then then you will get 250 score max, because you don't always hit maybe all the rockets over there. So you may get way less than a maximum of 250. Then in the next iteration or in the next round, when the city has been survived, literally, you go and convert the actual score you got. And then you need to actually break it down and say, okay, we're going to start new in the next round. And probably we get a coin or 2 or 5. So it depends on the conversion we're going to go for. We could also say in Game Manager, we want to use not 100 for 1 coin, but maybe 10. But we want to make it also maybe some kind of a farming game that you need to constantly do something to get a certain amount of coins. So you want to make it fun, but not like too farmy. So probably we're going to make it so that we divide it here by 10. Again, balancing is not my aim over here. This is something you guys have to go for your own. But now, whenever you shoot, just hit 1 rocket or maybe 2 or 3, and all the buildings are still there or left, then you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to get at least some coins, right? And if the first upgrade costs like 3 to 5 coins, let's say 5 is going to be the first one, next level is going to be 8 or 10 or something, we can go fancy with numbers, then of course we're going to get exponential growth in prices, but at the same time we also, we become better whenever we do stuff. So the people later on in the shop, they have to decide on their own what they want to purchase first, second, third, and so on. We could also keep the prices every now and then the same. We could also use score directly instead of coins. Once again, all about how you want to go for it. So we're gonna add score. Then we destroy the object. We destroy the rocket. We only do this if we got hit by a friendly. So basically by an explosion. Hit by, no, not by explosion, sphere, whatever. If that is the case, we're gonna get score, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. So, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna now call add score, and we can now visualize score. So every time we add score, we wanna visualize score. So same thing, by the way, also for the actual coins amount over there. There are now two possibilities we can do that. We can put everything inside the game manager, or we're gonna make a UI, let's say manager, which is going to take care of that. So let's do this, because probably it's a bit cleaner code-wise and you don't do everything in game manager, but you know, we're gonna have that specific part literally on its own. So to do so, we can create a new C# script and call this UI manager. The UI manager is the only one which is going to have like UI elements activated if needed, which will be needed absolutely. So in UI manager, we need now 2 text fields instead of, we don't need the update loop, because again, I try to avoid it as much as I can. Except for inputs. If there's really no other way than using the update loop, then I'm gonna use it, but usually I try to avoid it as much as I can. Even for movement. Once again, I just use that for input, like if you need direct key presses or mouse inputs, mouse position request, something like that. This is the only way usually only time whenever I use the update loop. Usually I'm gonna use the coroutines, which are, in my opinion, way better than calling a function 60 times a second, right? Which is like constantly, we don't need this. So these 2 text fields are gonna I could use the legacy text elements. I could also use TMP Pro. It might happen that yours is going to become underlined. I have seen somebody trying to fix it. I try if I have to do this. Currently it's just loading, so it's not red underlined, but it probably goes and overrides it later on. So we may go over and fix that. Well, basically I don't have to. So what I need is a TMP underscore. Oh my god, that's working. TMP underscore text. This one is needed. What does it mean is we're gonna fill in some text into them coins. So we need a coins text field. And we're gonna put in another public TMP underscore text are going to be our score text. So these 2 text fields are going to be overwritten like whenever needed. So I'm gonna go and create 2 functions to update UI, update coins UI. And of course, I'm gonna update the, I need to pass in the coins, int coins, to, let's say, show, because we're gonna call this from game manager later on, right? So it has to be public, as well as not just being public, but also our UI manager needs to have a singleton design pattern or something similar, so we're gonna be able to access it from any point in the game. So we're gonna make a public static UI manager instance, and currently we have a start function. I'm gonna make that an awake, at least for the moment. We still use start in a sec or two, but what we want to do over here is, of course, we want to call instance is equal to this. So we make this one a single instance. Otherwise, this would not be initialized as being a static instance. Hi, Daniel. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Tell me, have you ever experienced that scripts using awake work fine in Unity editor, but not at all in the build version? No, I haven't. Could you go and explain it a bit further? So I might go into what are you missing in your awake? That's the question. Is it after you are going to load in a scene and then come back to another scene, or maybe reload the same scene and awake does not fire or trigger? If that is the case, then you might want to use on enable and on disable instead of awake. But let me know. So update the coins UI. What we want to do is we want to set the coins text dot text, and now we can be rather creative. We can put coins colon space, and then we can pass in the coins to show. No, coins to show, like this. We don't need to go and convert this into a string since we're gonna have a part of here to be a string. But if you wanna show always a certain number of coins, like always 4 digits or something, then you're gonna be able to make a toString over there and then pass in parameters like a D5, D4, whatever. Just to have always, or to see always 4 numbers as an example. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna say dot to string. And over here in this parentheses, we can format these. So we can put in quotes and then say D4 as an example would give us 4 decimal numbers every time, even zeros, right? So if we got 1 coin, we're gonna have still 3 zeros to the left. I'm gonna show you once we are there. So I'm gonna copy this one here and do the same thing for the score. So we want to update the actual score UI. And in here we want to put the score to show. And of course, we're going to do the same thing over here. Maybe the score could be higher since we get more over longer terms. So we might gonna go for a D5 or even a D6. If you want to do this. I mean, I don't know if we are over this, if this D6 or D5 or D4 is going to I mean, it will still trigger it, but it doesn't show over 9999, I believe. Or it resets back to 0, but one of the digits is maybe not seen, which probably is going to be the first one. Like if you have 1,000,000 points in one round, then it might be that as it's not visible over there. So again, something to go for and debug on later. So we got the update UI, but in here we don't want to use the coins text. We want to use the score text.text. Absolutely. Now, I'm not sure why awake is not called, especially on prefabs in build. When I move from awake to start, it works fine. Well, a prefab, it depends on if you just instantiate it, then it should call awake and start afterwards. So the question once again is, what do you want to call in awake? What are you awaiting in the awake method? Because the awake method is, let's say, a bit special, but still should be called every time you instantiate a new prefab. So the question once again is, what do you expect to happen in the awake method? This is what you need to answer right now. So we got this, we got the UI manager running. So what we now can do is, after we gonna add score to our system, we can call the UI manager.instance. So UI manager.instance, and now we want to show the actual score amount, or we want to update the score UI. And what do we pass in? Well, we pass in score. We're gonna copy this stuff. We're gonna do the same thing whenever we convert score to coins. There's one thing we need to tackle later on, is going to be, we want to update the score UI and we want to update the actual coins UI here as well. Coins UI, but we also need to get rid of score. So we reduce score by whatever the amount over here is going to be. So we say, I don't know yet how we can tackle this. I'm gonna find out. Are we gonna find out probably together later on? I don't know. So whenever we use coins, we're gonna do the same thing. We wanna update some UI, probably. It depends. And the same thing here. We wanna, whenever we add coins to it, we're gonna do the same thing as well. Okay, so we use them, we reuse them, we update the UI. And even if we got a sharp system and so on and so forth, we're gonna still want to see whenever we use it, like we purchase something. Getting renderers or other components, yeah, do this and start. Just do this and start. You don't need to get the components in awake. It doesn't make sense. So awake usually is only used for getting instance to an object like this. Otherwise, you might not get access early enough, let's say. But everything else, like getting references to different objects or finding objects in scene, even if that is not really handy, let's say, or not really. I wouldn't really recommend it. That's what you want to do in start, absolutely. I don't know if awake probably is a bit, once again, is a bit picky sometimes. Like if you get a position update or you want to update positions and so on and so forth, you don't want to do this in awake. Just do it in start. It's a bit more solid, I would say. Again, if you go for other things, you can always try to use the function called onEnabled or onDisable. I believe it's onEnable. Let me type it out pretty quick so you see what I mean. You can, by the way, you can always go and check the Unity scripting API, right? So what you want to maybe use for is onEnable. Like whenever this script gets enabled, then it's going to trigger something. And you got the opposite also, like for delegates, for example. If you need to introduce delegates, then you might want to use onEnable instead of awake. And probably you can also try it out. I'm not 1% sure. You're going to have onDisable. Same thing. So that is literally triggered right before the script component or the script where this is sitting on gets disabled. So use them two functions. Go to Unity API, check them out, see when exactly they are triggered, and see what purposes they're gonna give you. Once again, for delegates, onEnable and onDisable are always used, so keep that in mind. And these are absolutely handy for delegate handling. Again, everything else is usually going to be used in the start method. There is no early access needed for render components or something like that. So I'm gonna save here. I need to build them text fields, right? So to see if all of our stuff is going to work over there. I could, by the way, also to test things out, I could try to always convert on the fly score to coins. Would be an interesting idea, I believe. So we need an UI manager over here. So I create an empty game object, name this one. I can use these dashes here as well. I could also use add symbol as I did with, or a hashtag or something, just to find things easier later on. Gonna put my UI manager here. We have to be quick because I have to end the stream soon. And I'm gonna drag my UI manager over here. And now we need to create two TMP text fields inside the actual canvas. For the moment, I only have this input. So I'm gonna make some other UI elements, text, but Text Mesh Pro, of course. I need to import the TMP essentials. So you're gonna have to do this as well. If you are going to follow this one, I have no idea. And once it is actually initialized over there, then we're going to see new text over anywhere. I'm going to go for 2D. By the way, in 2021, it looks again different. So it's totally up to you which one version you're going to use over there. I'm going to make it, I don't know how big. And this can be literally anywhere on screen. So it depends on your UI later on. So I don't put in anything. I want to see if this is updating automatically and correctly. There's one more thing I wanted to take a look into is this one. This one should tell us score instead of coin. Yep. And so every time we're going to update this, like when we shoot a rocket or something. And of course, we can call this function at start. So it literally shows us zeros over there. So I'm going to have to rename this one. This is going to be my, let's say, score text. Like so, and then I'm gonna duplicate this, Control D to duplicate, put it just below it, and this is going to be my coins text. And in UI Manager, we now just connect them to fields. So score text goes there, coins text goes there. Good. Last one is we gonna have to, and this is what I also don't do in Awake. I also do this in Start. So same issue applies because it's not needed earlier. Because the round is not going to start before it starts, right? So Awake is really something before the game should be started to initialize like certain instances and something like this. On start, I'm gonna go and call update coins UI. And I need to pass in a number. What do I pass in? Right, I'm gonna pass in a 0 because I don't have anything at the start at this point. So start is not like when the game starts. Start is when the scene starts, right? So don't forget this. Or actually when an object gets created, then it's also having a start and gets called, but this is not happening to UI Manager. UI Manager only works once whenever we once start the scene. And of course, whenever we call them functions, then we're going to update this stuff accordingly. So let's just try this one out. Everything has been imported over here. Gonna clear console, start the game, and now we should see these two text fields over here being changed to score and coins. You can see this is the decimals I was talking about. And whenever we gonna destroy some of them, rockets, gonna click something and see how much coins I'm gonna be able to make over here. Oh, that was a close one. Maybe hit 2. Awesome. And now you can see I'm gonna get more and more coins over here, so I don't really be able to hit over there. And now when all the rockets have been shot, we would say, okay, we wait for 2 or 3 or 5 seconds and so on and so forth, and then the round is literally over. And then we're gonna open the shop system and see what kind of updates we could go for, and then we start the next round. But we only do this if at least one building is left. We also need to reset the scene, like not directly, we need to reset the buildings, like we need to deactivate or reactivate them. And so the next round becomes also harder. So instead of having, let's say, 10 enemy somethings shooting up, we may go with 12 or 15 and 16 and make the game harder and harder every run, every round, and so on and so forth. But I believe we're gonna tackle this one in the next session. I still hope you enjoyed this one. Once again, this prototype, whenever it's done and completed and so on, will be available on my website. So later on, check it out. I'm gonna put on all them videos. I'm gonna put a link down below. So feel free to grab it once the product is literally done. I want to put my pointer over here into the center of the screen. So it starts here. Later on, I'm going to put in, or you can put in any graphic. You can make this big and small and whatsoever. We can also paint it, and we can also hide it after time, like reducing and increasing alpha, and so on and so forth, or maybe generate multiple on screen, so you know where you have shot before, and so on and so forth. So all of that content is going to be totally up to you later on. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down below in the in the comment section and so on and so forth. If you have any other things I can help you with, you might want to hire me. So I can help you creating your games and make your games beautiful or even playable. So if that is the case, feel free to go to my website as well and search for a live session something button. So I may or may not be able to help you with your current projects where you have problems with. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the session and talk to you in the next one. Probably gonna be able tomorrow, maybe not. I'm not quite sure, but you will see. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the day and bye-bye.